This conference will now be recorded.
Okay, welcome to the first Dragon Method School of the Regista presentation. My name is John Del Perscoli. I'm the Director of Player Development and Community Outreach at Capital Soccer Club, and I will be hosting these series of online resources for players and families to access. Again, the online program is meant to be an enrichment program to our more traditional in-person team training and just playing soccer that we love to do in person. But certainly the situation we find ourselves in now, and also just the fact that we are looking to offer more things for our players. It's kind of a natural progression for us to bring the School of the Regista and certainly other online features to our players. So we're excited to share this with you. We hope that you get a lot out of these interactive resources. There's a variety of different things that we're going to be offering, and tonight is really just to kind of go over a little introduction of what is the School of the Regista. This is a program I've been running now for, this is my third year, so it's looked obviously a little bit different every single year. Certainly the first year that I ran it was different than how I ran it last year, and now it's completely different, where from November to February will be completely online, and then hopefully when we get into March, we'll start to add the in-person element to the School of the Regista. But more of that will come in the future, more explanation. And we're just going to get right into the introductory material. So tonight's presentation will be very brief. Just to start, I know a lot of you already know me and you're probably sick of hearing my resume and where I come from, but there's also a lot of people in the club, new players in the club, new families in the club, that this might be the first time that you're hearing me talk. And so I always think it's just a nice little refresher to kind of go over who I am and kind of my backgrounds with regards to Central Vermont, but also with the game, because I see the game in a very specific way, and that way is around it's an artistic way. It really is the beautiful game to me, and I think there are so many great aspects of the game, not just in the professional game, not just in the youth game, but culturally and socially. I think it plays such a huge role, and this course has really been kind of my attempt to present that to our players. So I'm full-time Director of Player Development and Community Outreach at Capital Soccer Club, so this is where I spend most of my time. I'm also an adjunct faculty at the School of Business and Management at Norwich University, so I teach computer science and economics at Norwich University. So I have some experience giving online lectures, but I enjoy much more to talk about soccer over international economics sometimes. My coaching career, where I come from as a coach, obviously this is my second or third year as the Director of Player Development, but I've been coaching at Capital Soccer Club since 2013, since I moved back to Vermont. In 2015, I took over the Montpelier High School girls program, and I coached there until last year, the 2019 season, so I was there for 5 years. Really enjoyed it a lot. Some great players, some great players that are in our club as well. And I really just had a phenomenal experience. And as I've been watching high school games this season that a lot of our players have played in, it makes me miss being on the sidelines during high school. I think high school soccer is such a special thing, and we're honored that I was able to spend so much time at Montpelier High School. Before I moved to Vermont, I was at the University of San Francisco. I was a graduate assistant coach at the men's soccer program while I was going to grad school, getting my master's degree in economics. So that was a great, again, Division I program, good experience for me to see the game from a coach's perspective at the college level. I also worked with a club called Soccer Insight in San Francisco that is run by a Vermont guy by the name of DJ Johnson, who now lives out in San Francisco. But many of you might recognize the name. Uh, after I went to grad school in San Francisco. Before that, I was in Tulsa, Oklahoma, doing an AmeriCorps volunteer program. And while I was there, I was coaching at Bishop Kelly High School in the girls team. I was a volunteer assistant coach for that program. Very successful program. Won the state championship the year that I was there, and like the 10 years before that. So really cool situation going into, seeing players, some of the top players in the country that went on to play at Notre Dame, Stanford, Clemson. Really great players, and really great people in Tulsa. I also coached at and worked at the San Miguel Middle School in Tulsa, Oklahoma. So it's cool. I was on the west. I grew up on the East Coast in Vermont. Obviously, I'm from Philadelphia originally. After college, I went to college in New York, and then I went to the Midwest in Tulsa, Oklahoma, and then I went to the West Coast in San Francisco. So certainly, in terms of the American game, I've been able to see the different kind of setups in different parts of the country, and I think that's kind of really informed my view on coaching now. My playing career. So I still play once in a while, but not as much anymore. I actually played at Montpelier High School and I graduated in 2005. So I was super psyched on Saturday to see the boys win the first title since 1996. I was this close to winning a title when I was there in the 2004 season. We lost in triple overtime. Yes, they used to have 4 overtimes in high school soccer because they didn't want to go to penalty shootouts. And in triple overtime, it was actually 8-on-8. So they took a bunch of players off the field. But really proud of our guys, especially our capital guys. And obviously Stowe and U32 and Peoples. Really proud of those guys on Saturday for winning their championships as well. I played at Manhattan College for my college soccer, a Division I program in New York City. Played all 4 years. My junior year, I tore my ACL. I played about a quarter of the season, and I was captain my senior year. So really great experience for me to play at the highest college level in the country. And coming from Central Vermont. So, obviously I was in a lot of your guys' shoes. So again, just a brief introduction of who I am and where I'm coming from, because I think it's always important when you're taking advice from somebody or you're taking coaching certainly from somebody, you want to know where that person is coming from. And hopefully just my words alone and my demeanor alone gains respect. But also, I also hope that, letting you know where I come from and kind of the experiences I have to show to show what type of philosophy I have and kind of where it's come from. So that's it about me. And now about the course. So again, you might have seen the title of this course and you might have had trouble thinking, how do you pronounce that word at the end? This is the Italian term regista, and it literally translates into the English as director, In soccer, or calcio in Italy, the term refers to the deep-lying midfield playmaker on a soccer team. So when you say regista in reference to soccer, and specifically Italian soccer, you say that word and somebody knows exactly what you mean. It's the deep-lying center midfielder. It's the midfielder who, if you're maybe playing 3 in midfield, is the furthest midfielder back. And there are equivalents in other sports to kind of help you think about, or start to help you think about what a regista is. An equivalent would be a point guard in basketball, or a quarterback in football. So that's, again, the word regista. When you say regista in the soccer community, you're essentially talking about the point guard, or you're talking about the quarterback. Rough translations to other sports, because we know soccer is the best, but just to give you an idea. And really, traditionally a regista, and I have a little video that I'll show here. Traditionally, it is a player whose job it is to control the tempo of the match for the team. And when I say tempo, I mean control the speed of the game. So a lot of times in a soccer match, you want to be able to play fast, if you can play fast, and that's where the advantage is versus the other team. And sometimes you may want to slow it down, slow the possession of the ball down. And the regista is typically the person who has their finger on the pulse, so to speak. And when they're able to read the game, they're able to understand what is happening in the context of the match, and they are somebody who can control that tempo. And of course, we talk about a point guard, a quarterback. It's a player who's intelligent, has great vision, has a variety of passes in their back pocket, and has an affinity for creativity with and without the ball. Obviously, we love to see people with the ball at their feet, and that's what we think about in soccer, is having the ball at your feet. But really, really special players, and registas certainly are people that are able to manipulate space on the soccer field. And at training this weekend, I talked a lot about it with our teams. How do you create space? What does it mean to create space? And we talked about a little piece of it, but the creativity without the ball is such a real beautiful thing in soccer. So here's a little video that I'm going to show you right now. It's from Tifo Football, and I'll have the link on the Google Classroom so you can look at it on YouTube. But I'm just going to play it here as well. It's just a brief little 5-minute video to kind of give you the history of what a regista is. And I am Italian, or I have Italian heritage, and certainly my education in the game has come from watching Italian soccer, and Andrea Pirlo is really kind of a hero of mine. Hopefully you know who he is, but this video is going to kind of explain where the tactics come from, and kind of where the culture comes from, for the word regista. So I think this is a good little summary. So I'm just going to play this.
The regista is a deep-lying playmaker, one of the two creative roles named by the theoreticians of Italian football. The other, the trequartista, plays in the hole behind the strikers, but the regista is an equally important position with a rich tactical history and evolution. The deep-lying playmaker can be found throughout the history of football tactics. In the old 2-3-5, the half-back line of three sometimes saw a player capable of raking passes out to the advancing wingers deployed as the centre-half. Charlie Roberts, who won the league with Manchester United in 1908 and 1911, was known for his ability to play the ball long into attacking positions from the middle of the 2-3-5. Vittorio Pozzo, who managed the Italian side from 1929 to 48, admired Roberts' creativity from a deeper position and used Luisito Monti in a similar way. Monti had a screening role in Pozzo's 2-3-2-3 as a centro mediano, tasked both with marking a deep-lying centre forward but also pivoting to turn defence into attack with his long passing. In the 1950s, sides such as Hungary started to deploy withdrawn forwards like Nandor Hidakuti, causing havoc to more static man-marking systems. In turn, these defensive arrangements responded by deploying screening midfielders to track the forward, robbing the centre-half of his creative role. There were exceptions. Luis Suarez, the Spain international who pulled the strings from deep for Helenio Herrera's Grande Inter in the 60s, played just in front of the back four. Suarez could carry the ball forwards but was often content to spread it wide or spray it forwards from a quarterback position in front of three central defenders. Nonetheless, a a fashion in European football outside of Italy pushed creativity to the attacking midfield position ahead of ball winners and behind the forwards. The evolution of tactics into 4-2-4 and 4-4-2 tended to make the deeper lying playmaker redundant, for a while at least. Creativity came from driving box-to-box midfielders or wingers and overlapping fullbacks, or from the 10 dropping off to find holes in front of the opposition back four, while, as Jonathan Wilson notes, the Brazilian side of 1970 used Gerson as a regista alongside the combative Clodoaldo. The Seleção's athleticism and fluidity compensated for the natural overloads that tend to occur when a central midfield axis employs a regista. The reintroduction of proper registas began when shifts to 3-5-2 or 4-1-3-2 created a screen of two defensive midfielders, behind whom a regista could sit. Andrea Pirlo, without doubt the modern game's greatest exponent of the art, played under Carlo Ancelotti at AC Milan in a variety of formations, most notably the 4-3-1-2 and the 4-3-2-1, as a sort of halfback in the second line of three. Gennaro Gattuso and Clarence Seedorf, or Massimo Ambrosini, who formed a narrow midfield that drew its width from overlapping fullbacks, they shielded Pirlo, giving him time and space to pull the strings from deep. Having transferred to Juventus, Pirlo continued to play in a deep creative role with dynamic, intelligent midfielders such as Arturo Vidal, Claudio Marchisio, and Stefano Sturaro, providing cover. In the voguish 4-1-2-3, which often uses inside forwards in support of a lone striker, the deep midfielder can either be a destructive player, shielding the back floor, or a regista. Xabi Alonso, who, like Pirlo, has adapted to the regista role as he's got older, plays in this space for Bayern Munich. There is perhaps one true regista currently in English football, Michael Carrick. He has the poise and range of passing of good, deep playmakers, and Sir Alex Ferguson's purchase of Carrick signalled his desire to move to a 4-3-3, with Carrick central, or a 4-2-3-1, with the former Spurs man playing alongside a ball-winning midfielder. Perhaps his failure to reach the heights he was probably capable of was due to the frenzied pace of English football, which denied Carrick the space needed to excel. Or perhaps the English distrust of pure creativity, of unhurried elegance rather than hurly-burly scramble and wanting it more, meant that Carrick just played the game in the wrong country. Intelligence and tactical perception are the stock in trade of the regista, not pace and stamina. There has perhaps never been such an un-English role in football.
Okay, so if you haven't seen a Tifo football video on YouTube before, they do the whiteboard animations, and I personally think it's great, and that gives you a little insight into kind of the depth that we want to go into in this course, and certainly I think this is for young players and for older players. I think this is for parents. I hope this is for anybody who's interested in the game. And you know, in this course, actually, we'll just take a little break here. I'd like each player to write down a little reflection, and it can be something that they submit into the Google Classroom if they'd like. Just think about, does your team, the team that you play on, whether it's your high school team, your middle school team, your U10 team, your club team, does your team employ a regista? Does your coach play with a deep lying center midfielder? And then what that video was just talking about, professionals who are registas. Do you see any professional teams today, because that video was made a little while ago, do you see any professional teams today employ a regista? And I would even say when you watch a professional match, men and women, would you say that athleticism and pace and speed wins out, or do you see more players who are like registas and are able to slow things down, and their skill and their vision is more of a feature than their pace and their athleticism? And then lastly, you don't just have to be a center midfielder for this course. Obviously, we don't have teams made up of entire midfielders, but we don't have teams of special players. So which players have characteristics of a regista but might not be a deep lying midfielder? Are you a player like that? What maybe professionals do you see like that? We'll certainly be looking at pros in this class that don't play center midfield, but exhibit all the characteristics that we want in a special player. And so what is this course going to be? Okay, what is this course going to be? Rather than focus on the tactical responsibilities and the historical significance of the Regista, so we've gone through that. We've just seen the video. We're not going to focus on that. We focus in this course on the technical little things that famous players do that make them so great. So not just the center midfielders, although a lot of the professionals that we'll watch are center midfielders. But we want to find the little things that make great players great, what makes special players special. Again, a large part of this is taking what we do online and then applying it to your team training sessions or to the activities that I'll assign to you to do at the end of each lesson. But this course is really designed for players that want to become special players. A Regista is a student of the game, a leader on and off the field, and is committed to not only making themselves the best player they can be, but also to make their team the best that it can be. So we're not just in a bubble here trying to become the great, a special player in a vacuum, right? You play in a team. You wanna be a special player, but you want to play in a special team. So a big part of this program is to talk about and provide techniques and tips and discussion about how to be a leader. What's it take to be a leader? How can you make your team better? So this course is going to train players in two ways. Okay. The first is going to come on Tuesday nights through these online videos. We're going to be reviewing video of professional registas performing those special details and matches and apply the same technique in a training exercise at home or with some of your teammates. So every Tuesday, we'll have a specific theme that we're looking out for. We'll watch video of professional players and kind of highlight those special details. And then I'll assign some work that you can do on your own to apply those techniques that we saw in the video. So that's going to be the Tuesday night track. Is more of the little details, soccer, what makes registas or what makes special players special. And then on Thursdays, okay, Thursdays is dedicated to going over key principles that make registas leaders on the field and off the field. And specific techniques that you can use with your own team to make it better. And so certainly players who have taken this course in the past, that they'll recognize a lot of these things, but for everyone, it's worth the 20 to 45 minute videos that we're going to do Tuesday and Thursdays, and you can review them on demand when you want. But I really want to challenge each player in the club to be a leader. And now when it comes to a team environment, everybody can be a leader. Yes, certainly some players will lead more on the field than others. But I like to say all the time with my teams, each player can be the star of their role, and recognizing what your role is on the team and then being the best at that. And that is being a leader. So I want to challenge every single player in our club to be a leader. So again, that's what this course is about. I am really looking forward to doing this. I've loved doing this program in the past. In the past, it's been partly in the classroom, partly on the court or on the field. Like I said, due to the circumstances, the winter time is just going to be online, but I will be assigning those in-person tasks for you to do. And then certainly when you go to your team training every week, I expect you to apply what we're talking about on Tuesday and Thursday nights. I want to be able to go to each team training session and see our players exhibiting good leadership and focusing on those little details that make players great. Because it's easy enough to sit in front of your phone or sit in front of your computer and listen to me talk about these things, and even maybe keep a good journal about these things. But then when it comes down to it, you have to get onto the pitch and make it happen. So that's what we're going to be focusing on. And then my broader objective is, of course, is to open everyone, and this is players and families included, open everyone up to the world's game. And I certainly hope to explore different parts of the world, what soccer means to people, what soccer has meant to people historically, what role it plays in culture, because it really is the beautiful game. And yeah, I'm just really looking forward to it. Every Tuesday and Thursday night, we'll be back on Thursday night with another lecture. Some days it'll be on demand. Some days I'll run it live as well, and we'll take some questions. So just make sure that you're keeping up with the Google Classroom schedule, and see you out in the court.